Good morning, friends. If you are on, I would love for you to say hello. Hopefully I can see your comments. I am hopping on for my weekly putting together a layout for our challenge, and I'm just pulling it up on my phone so I can hopefully watch comments come through. So if you are on, go ahead and say hello. I know I'm a little early. There we go. All right. Hopefully you're all enjoying the slightly cooler weather. It's definitely not 90 anymore, which is great. But today I'm just walking through the layout for our weekly challenge. If you have questions, holler in the comments and we'll just get going. So you can watch this back later as well. I actually post these to YouTube just because the Facebook Lives go away after 30 days now. So I just want to, archive those in my YouTube channel. So if you want to hop over there and like and subscribe to that too, that would be great, just so you can keep seeing them. But this week we're working on our challenge from my Ashley Scrappy VIP group. That's my private group for people I kind of vet that, want to join, kind of my closer customers and friends who scrapbook. And yeah, I'm over explaining things because I just don't know who's new every time. So we're going to be walking through this. This printout is actually on my blog. I did add some things because as I was going through this morning, I realized there are some things that weren't in there because I take these from the Creative Memories blog. And there are things that I was like, oh, what about these pieces? They're not on there, which these could have been stickers. So I added that part, but I will update these in the blog once I'm through with this. So we're gonna get started. I am using an older collection this summer. Oh goodness, I think it was Summer Nights or something like that. And it's very pretty. This part is from a different collection now. So I'm mixing and matching today. And I am doing some pictures of Lucy when she was doing some flips on the trampoline. I just thought this would make a cute little page, and I love the lighting here and just the sun setting behind her. So we're gonna work on that. So to get started, I'm just going to follow the instructions. Like I say every time, follow the instructions and it won't be so overwhelming. I know some people do challenges and are like, oh, I can't do that challenge. It's too hard, or it looks really complicated. And I say, just follow the instructions and, step by step, don't jump ahead or anything, even though I do that all the time. And it won't be so overwhelming. So on here it says use the forest trees paper as a base for this layout, and that's what they used, obviously. This is the example from the blog. I am using this pretty cloud paper from the Summer Nights collection, so that's going to be my base. Step 2, cut a piece of wooden blocks paper to measure 12 by 1/2 inch with your 12-inch trimmer. Alright, so instead of wood blocks, I am using this strip of orange. I have a bunch of scraps left over in this collection, so I'm going to be using those up. I love when I can use up stuff just because I feel like it gives me permission to get different and do stuff. So this is going to be 12-inch by 1/2. So we know this is already 12, and I'm going to line it up right on my first line here because I know that's a 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so there's that one. And this is going to go on the top edge of our layout. However, I'm going to jump to step 3 and do also the bottom strip at the same time, and then just stick them down at the same time. And the bottom strip is 12 by 1. So for this one, we're going to go out a little further, and it gets more tedious the thinner your strip of paper gets because it doesn't rest as well on the edge of your trimmer. So I am just going to cut it slow, working up against where it's butted up against. Okay. And there's my other strips. So I'm going to move this temporarily and go ahead and adhere this down. So the wider strip, our 1-inch strip, is going to go on the bottom. Just like this. And if you know me, you know I cannot line things up. So I love using my mat to kind of watch where my numbers are. When it's along an edge, it's not so bad, just because I can just line it up along the edge of the paper. But a lot of my things are crooked on pages, and around my house, can't hang up pictures or signs or anything like that without it being crooked. So I do love this mat for that reason. It keeps me on track. Sorry if you see the top of my head. There we go. All right. Look at that. We've already gotten through step 3. All right, step 4, cut a piece of teal dots paper to measure 11 by 5, and that is the piece I use behind our photos here. I am using this really pretty swirly paper for that. We're gonna fly through this layout. It's gonna be great. So I'm gonna take my trimmer again, and this one is not quite a full 12. It's gonna be 11. So I am actually gonna cut 5 inches first because I know that's how wide it needs to be, or how tall rather. Okay, hoping this isn't too short for my photos. This should be okay. I can never eyeball that either, so I'm like, how small is this gonna be? I don't know. Just gonna roll with it. All right, and now we need 11 inches long, so we are going to cut an inch off, and that gives us 11. I can math sometimes. Sometimes I cannot, but all right. And then we're gonna go ahead and adhere this right to our layout. Now, the part that they left out was like this wood that's around the top and bottom. And I'm wondering if it's because they used a border sticker. This is an older camping collection they used, and I think I remember that being a sticker. However, I do want those strips. So I am going to cut, I did add some instructions here because I do want to add those even though I don't have the stickers. So I added that, and that's going to be 11 by 1/2 inch on either side. So I might wait to stick this down until I know how wide it's actually going to be, just because mine's a little different than what they have done. So for those strips, I actually want to use this cute blue, like starry type paper. It came from a different collection. I think it's from the Candlelit collection way back when. I think it was a Black Friday thing. So this one I'm gonna, I guessed it's 1/2 inch. I'm gonna cut this to 11 by 1/2 inch, and I am just gonna line this up like so. And again, this one's very thin, so just take it slow when you cut so it doesn't shift around, and make sure you're holding on. So there's one of my 1/2 inch, and this one's gonna be even more shifty, just because when you start lining it up, as you can see, there's nothing for it to butt up against. So I just tell people take it slow, and here I have nowhere to hang on. So I'm gonna stick my finger kind of in the middle there, and then move up here once I get past. And you want to keep it semi-close to the blade. So that's my tip when you're cutting these thin strips. And then these need to be 11. So I am gonna put these together, because this trimmer can handle quite a bit of paper together. And I'm just gonna cut them both at the same time. So 1 inch. There we go. Okay. So now I'm gonna stick down all of this, just because I wanted to know how, thick it was gonna be, or how far up and versus down it needed to be, I suppose. Something like that, perhaps. And again, I cannot line things up to save my life, so I'm kind of looking at the lines on the side of the mat just to make sure I'm in the right place, or semi in the right place. And even looking at it, I can tell it's a little over further, but I don't mind. So I'm pretty laid back when it comes to that, so obviously. Oops. We're going to adhere our other strip, and this is only if you want to add these. I wanted the extra texture underneath, so I wanted to cut these little strips out just to have that. Okay. Again, you just want to butt this right up against that mat you put on there. It looks like I cut them a little too short, but that's okay. All right, so now, oh, and then I also put on that written part border stickers at 11 inches because they added these little thin border stickers. I might do that. We'll see what happens, but I just added that as a note to myself to add it to the instructions. So step 5, cut a circle from the red flannel paper using the outside of your large custom cutting system. If you know anything about the cutting system, it's pretty awesome. I have my circles in here, in my little twirly caddy, and the largest circle is obviously this one. However, there is a jumbo. So they're not talking about the jumbo circle, the one that takes up like your whole paper. You're talking about this one. So you're going to use this circle with your red blade and cut on the outside of whatever paper you want to use for this half circle. I, however, am going rogue. I do that best, I think. And I am using the Sun Punch, or the, I don't remember what this one was called 100%, but I think it was a Sun Punch, essentially. And it cuts out a circle that's shaped like the sun. So I'm going to use this because, you know, in the pictures the sun is setting and it seemed appropriate. So to do that, I'm actually going to use this paper again. I might flip it, we'll see. And so I'm going to show you guys how to use this. This is no longer available, but they still come out with circle punches like this all the time, and they're pretty cool. So I'm going to show you how to do those. It's 6 inches, so we're going to begin. On the side it actually gives you instructions. We're going to cut a 6-inch square to begin. So I need to fold out my little arm here because it's bigger than my trimmer. Line this up at 6 inches. And I know this is probably 7 because I cut 5 from it before. So scrapbooking makes me math a lot. And you know I'm not a math girl, so it's a lot of critical thinking going on here. Okay, and then we're going to take our punch and open it up. Oops. All right, just like a normal punch, I'm going to move this for a moment. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it in on one side, punch, and then you're going to rotate, punch again. And it's going to look a little funny at first, so just bear with me. I'm just going to keep going all the way around on every edge. Make sure you're butted up against there. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to repeat. And you're going to have this little square fall out along with all the pieces underneath. Make sure you get that little square out every time so it doesn't get hung up. But it ends up being very cool looking. And it's super easy to do and takes no time at all. And what a cool way to add a circle to your page, right? It just gives you another option. So like I said, this is no longer available, but they're always coming out with new ideas and new things like this. So if you see a circle punch coming around or like this, they've had other ones in the past similar to that. You might want to snag it because they're pretty darn cool. So clean up a little bit here. All right, I think I'm going to stick with this side. So now that you have your circle, whether you punched it out or you cut it with your system, you're going to cut it in half. And to do that, you typically would butt a circle into this groove here in your trimmer, and that is about half. With this, it's a little different, but it's still going to be half because these are both resting equally on each side. So there's, oops, and it didn't go quite through all the way through because that point was further than where the cut goes. So I'm just going to take my little scissors, just a little thread hanging there, and trim that just so I don't rip it. And now I have 2 halves of the sun. I'm only going to use one. I can put one away for later if I want to use on another project, which I'll probably just put it in with this collection because it matches. Alrighty, look at that. And then we're going to adhere this kind of like down here along this border, but shift it off to one side. I'm going to put my Sun Punch away just so it's out of the way. And see, I kind of debated doing this side, but I think I like the fact that it matches, so I'm going to adhere on this side. And I have these little tedious points. I'm going to get my silicone mat. And I'm going to get this. And I love my Repositional tape runner because it's little dots that just stick only to the paper. And it doesn't stick to this mat because it's silicone. So if you don't have a silicone mat, you could just do it on your mat and you will get some dots on your mat and they just rub right off. It's pretty cool. So the silicone mat just makes it a little cleaner to use. So there we go, just like that. All right. So if you guys are commenting, I apologize. There are a lot of times my internet up here is awful and comments do not come through until I'm off. And I'm looking at the recording, I'm like, oh, someone commented. So if you're commenting, I apologize. I'm not responding. I am not seeing them. So if you're not, great. Then that means I'm not missing anything. All right, just that little caveat there. All right, so look at that. We're already through step 5, so we're flying. So now we're gonna cut a strip. Okay, so this is for the journal part. I'm just gonna journal right on this. So if you want to add this journal part, you're just gonna cut a 12 by 1/2 inch piece of paper, and you're just gonna adhere onto here. And they broke theirs up, you know, with the embellishments there, so you can just get creative with that. It's totally up to you. I have not fully decided what I'm doing there. I think I'm just gonna write on this paper though, because it's light enough that you can read what you write. Okay, so that's step 6, which I'm not doing. And now we're gonna cut our photos. So I'm gonna grab my photos and my photo cutter. Again, this is a really great little cutter for photos or just smaller projects you're doing. I love it so much. You can store your scissors underneath. I use my scissors too much. When I go to crafts, I put them under here, but when I'm at home, I leave them out in my caddy all the time. All right, so here we have obviously 3 photos, and one in the center is wider. So I'm gonna kind of take note of that. It looks like it is 3 by 4.5 and then 3.5, so it's a 1/2 inch wider. So I'm gonna decide which one do I want to be wider. I think I want this one because it's just different from these two, and I think it'd be easier to cut these smaller than that one. So we are gonna go ahead and cut this down to, let's see, 4.5. They're all 4.5 tall. So I'm gonna kind of eyeball this. Such a nice crisp cut with this new cutter. I love it. All right. And then this is one of the outside ones. So this one's gonna be 3 by 3 inches, which looks so small, but on here it's gonna cut just fine. I don't need the rest of that photo anyway, so it's perfect. All right, and I love when I can scrap like these everyday moments. It's just like she was out in the yard flipping around on the trampoline, and I was like, why am I not taking pictures? Like the sun is gorgeous and it's cool, and she wanted me to take pictures of her, which is rare. So I did that. Yeah, so I just love when I'm able to actually put these on a page and make a cool layout out of them. So I gotta remember my numbers here. I am like number dyslexic, I swear. So I'm just like, I have to concentrate really hard when I'm cutting. Debating if I want to like, I think it's okay if I cut it all this way. By 3, right? Yes. I just think super hard when it comes to numbers. All right, so 4.5. And then this one is gonna be 3.5 wide. So I don't have to cut as much off of this one, which is good. Sometimes it's so hard to crop photos down, but they always end up looking better because I'm cutting out like what doesn't really need to be there. So if you look at what's left, it's like parts of the net and stuff that you don't really need left over. So it's actually very helpful to crop photos as much as it's hard to do sometimes. Okay, and then we're gonna adhere these onto here. Yay! I like how it looks. I love the colors right now. And I need this. And I have to keep in mind we're going to add these little strips in the middle as well. So I might actually cut those first. That way I can line up as I go. So I have this little scrap left of this collection. And I'm going to cut these down. Now these are step 8. We're going to cut 2 strips of this bark paper on there. It's going to be the star paper on mine. To 1/4 inch by 4.5. So we're going to cut a 1/4 inch. And on this trimmer, the 1/4 inch line is actually, the edges is gray. Pretty sure. So, which is so narrow. I might actually, 1/4 inch. Yeah. It's about the edge of your gray. So I'm just gonna line up there and cut. Hoping these are long enough. I didn't measure. Oh yeah, we're good. And I'm gonna do it a second time. Okay. And then I'm gonna put them together and cut them to 4.5 because you want them the same height as your pictures just for that cool little effect there. These are so narrow, my goodness. Okay. 4.5-ish. There we go. All right, and so now we got our little teeny tiny strips, and I should have plenty of room between there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start adhering this all down. Again, lining things up. It's interesting for me, so hopefully that looks okay. And these little, I'm gonna adhere down these little strips as well, but I'm just using them kind of as a guide at the moment for spacing. Let's see. Maybe like that. It's probably the most tedious part right here. It's just placing the photos. Means I gotta go about that far. That one. Alright, and now for these little ones, I could use Repositional. I could use my wider one, but I think it's gonna hang over the edge. But I also have mini tape runner, and this one's so fun. It's just little teeny tiny squares. So this is perfect for this little strip. It's not gonna hang over the edge. I love that every tape runner I have has a job. So great. Those on, and look at how pretty that is. I love it. Okay, so we're pretty much wrapped up. I'm just gonna embellish and journal. And for my embellishments, I realize how early it is. It's only 10:20. So I'll bring you along on the embellishment ride with me. I usually sign off when I go to embellish because it's usually later, and I am the most indecisive person I know when it comes to embellishing. So I usually sign off so you don't have to, you know, bear through that. Everybody's just like, oh my goodness, Ashley. So I am gonna go ahead and add, I think, some border stickers here. I really like these stars. They're really cute. I like stars because it's like kind of a mix of evening turning, like the day turning into evening. And so I know these are shorter than, you know, what they are. So I'm gonna have to trim this down. And for that, I should have pulled these out first. I'm gonna get my micro tip scissors, and I'm gonna cut down this little star. I try to trim it. Oops, there's still gunk on here from the last project. I didn't fully clean it. I'm gonna kind of cut this star out. And the micro tips are great for this because they can do these little tedious cuts and still make your stuff look really good. Like, it makes it look like it was meant to be like that. And I kind of cut the point off, but that's okay. So there's one. I have this extra little star here. And I'm gonna take this one. And again, I'm gonna kind of line it up and work my way down. Oops, again, I went crooked. Luckily, it will peel up for a minute after you place it. I didn't push it too hard at first until I know I have it right where I want it. I need to figure out the trajectory here. I think that's a math word. Okay, and then again, I'm going to cut around one of these little stars. You're probably seeing the top of my head. I apologize. Just trying to get a good look at it and then cut it. There we go. All right, look at that. I like it. All right, so now I want to figure out what I want to put here. And I sometimes don't know where to put embellishments. So what I do is I always just refer back to the instructions. I go, yeah, it looks good where they put them. That's where I want to put them too. So they have like some icons here, a couple titles. I'm not one that likes a lot of words, like word embellishments on my page, just because I feel like it gets overwhelming. But I'm gonna look through here and see what I have. Lots of cute little things. This one is identical to this one, but I've used more off of this one. So I'll pull this out here. I like to try to use up sheets before I go to the next one. Unless there's a title, of course, I like. And then I like You're My Shining Star. That's really cute. Add that somewhere. Let's see where. The moon is super cute too. Stargazing. got a few options here. I'm gonna grab a little moon, I think. It's like one of those nights where, you know, evening's turning into, or the day's turning into night, and it just makes sense. That's cute. I like that. And we have all these little fireflies and little bugs and shooting star. All these cute little like 3D embellishments. I don't know if you can tell, but there's like little foam squares that are popping these out. Let's see. I like the jar of bugs. That's super cute. I might use that even though she's just flipping around a trampoline. It's just for the aesthetic, you know. And I need another little title down here. Let's see what we got. Starry skies and fireflies. That's cute. Shoot for the stars. I think that's really cute too. I like how the blue is like kind of juxtaposing on the sun here, and then I have the yellow up here off the blue, so it kind of balances it a little bit. And then there's all these little stars I can add just to kind of add a little more look here. Super cute. I'm not sure I want to put this. I might stick this here just to break it up a little bit maybe. That's really cute too. Ooh, the shooting star, it's super cute. I wonder if I should do that instead. I think I'm gonna do that instead. I like that more. Luckily, I'm giving myself only these sheets to work with. Usually I'm like out here with embellishments and, you know, all kinds of things, and it takes me forever to pick my embellishments. And it's just crazy. It takes forever. And then, you know, when I'm live, I'm even more nervous. And then I have like these extra stars I cut off my border that maybe I'll stick somewhere for a little extra something. Yeah, it's cute. Trim them up a little better. My micro tip scissors here. Down there maybe a little piece of sticker sticking to me. All right, I think I'm pretty much good. I'm just gonna journal. This layout flew, so that's awesome. So it's a good way to get a quick layout done, get 3 pictures in a page. I appreciate you guys for watching on my live here. I do encourage you to go and subscribe to my YouTube. That way you can, you know, keep watching these, because like I said, these go away after 30 days off of Facebook. So get a little closer look. I like it. I think it's cute. And I used up some old, you know, stuff I had. I think the colors are perfect, and I really like that punch. So I was cool that I got to use this a little bit more. So yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for your support and for watching. And I hope you enjoyed, and I'd love to see what you made. So make sure you post it so I can see it. You guys have a great day.